We all dream of making happy memories with our families and our children over the festive season. But the reality is that for neurodiverse families, the opposite can often be true. What to some families equal unbridled joy and happy memories, to us can result in meltdowns, dysregulation, arguments, shutdown. So here are 5 of my tried and tested recommendations to reduce some of the chaos over the festive season. Number 1, radical acceptance. When we don't accept a moment or a situation as it is, we become emotional and we react in ways that actually create more problems. Now, I know that you accept your child for who they are and that you love them dearly and that you're very connected. But radical acceptance asks you to dig a little bit deeper. Radical acceptance becomes important when our long-held beliefs and values come into conflict with what our children need in any given moment. It is when that conflict of interest arises that we have trouble with radical acceptance. For you, it may be meaningful to have Christmas dinners, lots of food, people around, games. Perhaps you enjoy going out to Christmas markets, lots of shopping in the malls. Perhaps you just like to go to events, Christmas events like the Festival of Lights or church services or whatever the case may be. Those things might to you epitomize a very memorable and traditional Christmas season. Your child, on the other hand, might have sensory processing differences that make some or all of those events really difficult to get through. It is in those moments that you need to decide, is it worth the cost to my child to push them through and force them to engage in this activity or event, or some or all of them? Or is it worth more that I accept that this is who my child is in this moment? This is what they can or can't deal with, and live with that and change your scheduling or your plans, your activities accordingly. Remember that embracing a mindset of letting go is crucial in developing long-term trust between you and your child. Number 2, avoid overscheduling. Be careful about how many activities and commitments you say yes to over the festive season. Remember that your child is already at a reduced capacity at this time of the year. This is the longest term of the school year, and in this term they've already dealt with a different teacher, different classmates, different grade, different expectations. And come November, December, most children are at best tired and at worst burnt out. So recognize their reduced capacity at this time of the year, but also their limited capacity in general for events that they might find overstimulating or overwhelming. And recognize their need for downtime. Which brings me to number 3, create space. Make sure that you prioritize time for rest, deep rest. And what does that look like? Space for your child to be at home, the comforts of home, with no demand and no need to get up, get ready, get out, and go and attend a new, even if that is exciting, event. Create space for them to decompress and rest and regulate and restore at home. Rest time also involves you creating space for one-on-one time with your child where you're feeling really regulated, you're breathing, you're seeing your child, you're present with them, and you can truly, truly attend to them. That type of co-regulation and connection is deeply restorative for the nervous system. Your child might need a day of just being on screens, watching Christmas movies. Perhaps you do it as a family, but perhaps you don't, because perhaps that is overwhelming. Allow time for your child to spend time with their special interests. Things that might to you seem uninteresting or repetitive might be the things that actually really help them to feel good about themselves and really help them to fill their cup. So allow time for that to happen. Allow your child to follow their own interest. Have agency and autonomy in choosing what they would like to spend their time on, and nurture that, encourage that, foster that. Number 4, make mindful adjustments to the environment and the routine. Think carefully about how changes in the environment and changes in routine impact your child's ability to self-regulate, given their inherent need for consistency, certainty, sameness, predictability. So when you're changing routines, preview those changes with your child. Let them know in a way that resonates with them what will be happening, what that may look like, and get their input in terms of how that could play out, what they would find supportive about that. Similarly, considering changes to the environment. We often decorate our homes, put up Christmas trees, play different music. We have just different things going on in our house around this time. In many of these changes, our children experience a loss of control, a loss of autonomy, the feeling that things are happening to them and they have no say about it. So for example, when you think about decorating the Christmas tree, preview that change with your child. Perhaps you take the tree out and just enjoy the tree for a day. The next day you might take out the Christmas decorations and look through them all together. Choose your favorite ones, share memories related to each decoration. And perhaps you start to decorate the tree slowly and together as a team where your child has a role, they feel like an active participant, they feel like they have agency in the process of changing their environment. Go as slow or as fast as your child needs, take over when they don't want to anymore, or leave it for the next day. Introducing these changes slowly and with your child's input can make a big difference about how overwhelmed they feel by the changes. And lastly, gift giving. Everybody loves receiving gifts, right? Well, yes, but it can be complicated. For a child who has anticipatory anxiety, who struggles to wait, has impulse control difficulties, it can be a huge stressor to have wrapped presents sitting under the tree a couple of days before Christmas. You can accommodate that by only putting the presents out on Christmas morning. Some kids don't really even like having their Christmas presents wrapped. And to them, a feeling of a joyful Christmas morning is related to having Christmas presents unwrapped under the tree, ready to be played with. It is common in Western tradition to have everybody around the tree and everybody exchanges gifts, and it all happens quite quickly. Most people get really excited, rip the paper off the presents, and as soon as they're done with one, they'll move on to the next one. This often doesn't work for autistic children or younger children because they need more time to process what they've received. Often the expectation is that they will be elated, they will show their joy and gratitude at receiving the present, when that all is potentially just too much of an expectation in that moment. So think about slowing down the opening of the presents. Perhaps you open a present a day in the week running up to Christmas. Perhaps you spread out the opening of presents throughout the day on Christmas Day. You can also prepare your extended family and friends who may be around that your child needs more time and might not immediately show their joy or their excitement or their gratitude for what they received. But that doesn't mean that they don't love and appreciate what they've been given. The goal is to create an environment that fosters joy and happiness over the festive season and not overstimulation and overwhelm. And to achieve that, some of these adaptations will be critical. There's nothing better as a parent to see your children truly happy and engaged. And where autistic children are involved, that will mean thinking carefully about their processing differences, their needs, and making adaptations and accommodations to meet them where they're at. Some of these supports and adaptations that you will bring in for the festive season will not just soothe your child's nervous system, but it will actually really strengthen your relationship and build trust. It'll help them to know that you won't overwhelm them. That's it from me, and I'm wishing you a wonderful festive season full of love, joy, acceptance, and understanding.